Okay, so right now no one is here. I should just go ahead and start talking. Okay. Hello. We're gonna just talk about a scary movie that I watched very recently. 2 days ago, I watched Hollow Creeks with Grandma. And yeah, that was pretty scary. And it was about a man and his girlfriend, which actually was his affair. They were going to a rural area because the man was a very famous author of horror books, and he wanted that inspiration. So he wanted to go somewhere quiet and think and write and work on his new novel. So what happened? The house was kind of spooky and it was a little haunted because the moment that they got there, it was his girlfriend started seeing stuff. There was a feeling of there's something going on and someone is watching them, which was very scary. And then her dog was acting weird. He was running away and he didn't came back the whole night. And she was so worried. She was like, what's going on? But then the next day, because she had headache and she was not feeling well, so she went to doctor. And while she was waiting for the doctor to call her, she on the news they were saying that there are some missing boys. The recent one was kidnapped a few days ago, and so and then she went to doctor, and then doctor checked her and told her that she is pregnant. Wow. She was really sad, and she told doctor that, oh my god, if the father figured this out, he's gonna kill me. And so she was really sad, and she went out and cried, and she didn't tell him anything. And then all of a sudden, okay, yeah, I forgot to say this part. So on the way back, she needed to get gas, and she pulled at the gas station, and then here, all of a sudden, she looked at another car and saw a little boy in the car that was asking for help. She was frozen. She didn't know what to do, so the only thing that she could do at the moment was to make sure that she's not losing the car and she know where the little boy is going. So she hopped on the car and started driving, and then on the way that she was chasing the car, she called 911. And then because the area was a rural area, was horrible, the signal was bad, the call didn't go through. And then meanwhile, the boyfriend was trying to call her, and it was also she couldn't respond because she was very much wanted to make sure that she's following and also trying to call 911. And then the car that which had the little boy, the car was a very old car as well. It was a white, very old car, yeah. And it pulled at a place that had a gate, and then it was also very, very isolated. And then the car went in, and she also tried, so and then the gate was not really locked, uh, or it was not a big gate, so she could jump over the gate because she want to make sure that she is following the boys. And she entered their property. That is something that I never do. When I was watching the movie, I was like, even if I get to the gate, at that point, I'll be like, okay, now I know where the house is. And I go back to the police station. But she was a lot braver than I am. So she got, or kind of dumber. And then she got in there, and uh, there was a window to the basement, and then she was kind of looking to see if there's anything. There was a green kind of glare and lights, and then all of a sudden something popped. It's kind of scary ghost, and then she screamed, and then at that moment the driver, realized there's someone here. So then they turned the dogs loose, and she ran, the dog chasing her, until actually, unfortunately, dog got her. And then the scary man came and took her, and then brought it back to the basement. So they chained her pretty much. It was real chain, and tried to torture her. Who are you? Why are you here? Who you are connected to? And she was like, no one. I'm here by myself. Please do not hurt me. And and then that man also had a wife, and both looking very kind of creepy, scary thing, because they were not civilized looking at all. And then when the wife and the man was together, she told them, oh, please don't hurt me, I'm pregnant. And then his wife was, oh, she's pregnant, we can have boys. And then they had actually two boys in the cage, kind of close to the same basement. So far we still don't know what's going on here. And the man was like, no, we should get rid of her, we should kill her, that's not good. But the woman was like, no, please, we can have our boys back, and yeah, just 9 months, and then we can get rid of her. So she could actually change his mind, and they decided to keep him alive until she gives birth to the baby or babies, because they didn't know. They only knew that there's a baby going. And and then the other side of story, the boyfriend was waiting for her, and she did not come. She did not respond any phone call. She did not respond any text message. So when it got dark, he decided to call police, and even if he knew that it's not gonna be good for him, a famous author affair, he had wife, but he decides to do so because he actually really loved her. And he calls police, and the police is like, really don't take him seriously. First of all, it's like, why even you're here? Why you're the suspicious? You might be the killer. So he really the police did not really take him seriously. So first they were like, okay, why are you here? And then they realized he's married, and then they said, okay, so how long you're not, when she left, and how long you've not talked to her and stuff. And then pretty much police from now on tries to just gather documents against him. And then he has now two jobs. One is finding his girlfriend, and the other is to tell them that he's not the culprit, and they actually need to look for the kidnapper or the actual criminal. So then here it kind of stories, the movie is like 5 months later, because police has not done anything, and they couldn't find anyone. So 5 months later, the in this 5 month, the guy went back to New York, and then he couldn't really work at much, and then he decides to come back to that rural area and look for his girlfriend, because he wants to also show that he's not guilty. So he comes back, and then he tries to kind of connect some dots, and he goes back to the station and talks to the boy that is working at the gas station, and he says, do you remember that day? What did you see? What happened? And then the boy is like, yeah, I already told police there's nothing going on. And it was a rainy day, and she came and she got gas. And he was like, okay, just think more. And then all of a sudden, he sees a diesel station, and the guy's like, yeah, actually, there was another car that day, which he remembered what the car, what's the color, and then what's the model, but he did not see the owner and the driver. So he went back, and he only told him what was the model. So, and then the boyfriend, knowing what the model of the car is, and I really, this part of it, I have no idea why he thought at all like that car might be alien related. But anyway, this is just a movie, and he goes to the library, and he looks for that model to see who's the owner, and then he cannot find anything in the database. But all of a sudden, again, this is movie, he sees an old lady that know something, and she actually know who could be the owner of the car, and even where do they live. And she said, oh yeah, those poor family, because 30 years ago they lost their twin boys, and they drowned in the lagoon behind her house because it was winter and it was cold. The guys got there and they couldn't uh, get out, and they drowned. So this part actually answers why they were kidnapping boys, and why they wanted boys, especially twin, because her wife was like, oh, I hope they're twins, and I hope they're boys. So yeah, but then he knows where do they live, and then he decides to go and check on that house, and he goes. The boyfriend gets there, and then they're like, who are you, what are you doing? And he says like, oh, I'm a dealer, I want to look at your car, and I want to see like if you're interested in selling it. And they're like, no, we're not interested in selling, get the hell out of here. And they were like very mean and rude to him. So he couldn't do anything at all, and he left. But then at night he was like, I know there's something going on, there's something so off, I have to go back. And then at night he gets a rifle and he goes back. And then at the same time, police also gets a little more suspicious, because they're like, oh, if this guy is actually like murderer, he actually committed the crime, he's not gonna come back after this many months. So maybe he's telling the truth. Maybe we have to kind of actually really now investigate. And then yeah, so police will also kind of like doing more stuff. And at night when he goes there, it's the same night that, because during the day the boyfriend checked on them, so the husband and wife are also a little like a lot more distracted, and they're arguing so much. So they leave the key for the it was the little cage for those two little boys. So, and then because they left it in the basement, the pregnant lady took it, and she unlocks the two little boy and tells them to break the window and run to the until they get to the highway, to the road, so they can ask for help. So at the same time, they ran away, and then the boyfriend sees them, and they were telling them about the pregnant lady. So he also comes and to help um, his girlfriend, and then the police also is coming. So police helps those two little boys, and he also can help his girlfriend. One thing that I did not kind of mention, but it was kind of making the movie a lot more interesting, in my opinion, was uh, these two couple, the husband and wife, actually kidnapped three boys. But one of them, which was a baseball player, he really liked baseball. He runs away once, and the husband actually could uh, catch him, and then he kills him. So that's the ghosting part. It's the little boy that actually kind of watching her from the first day that they got there, because even if he died, he wanted to help the other two boys to be able to, break in, be free. So that is why the boy that the pregnant lady saw in the first place in the car was not even a real boy. It was just a ghost. And but that was the whole point, because it wanted to bring her to help the other two boys. And I said again, I like this movie. It was horror enough to me. It was not too bloody. I like the kind of movie that are not very, very scary. I mean, it's just not all effect and the sound. It's actually some stories going on, and it was a, a good balance of all of them. And the name of the movie was Hollow Creek. Again, if you're interested in watching it, even if I spoiled it pretty much, but yeah, that was the last horror movie that I watched. And these are I was into horror movies a lot when I was like between 10 until teenager almost. But then at some point I was not really, I mean, it actually scared me so much, because I was after uh during my undergrad, and after that I was living alone, so I had the opportunity actually to get really scared if I was watching horror movies. So for a while I stayed away from it, and I was not watching that much horror movies. But then recently again I got back into it, not super, like not every night, or not very horror. Like when I watched Saw, it was too much. But I do like a more mysterious kind of horror movie, something that is also makes you just keep thinking even after movies, like what could have been the reason, why it happened, or still trying to connect the dots. I really like that kind of movie. But another thing about this movie, because I once another one, I remember another movie that I watched that was not horror, but that was more criminal, mysterious kind of movie, but that was also related to children. It was a couple that lost their, I don't remember if it was a daughter or son, but they lost their child, and I think it was because of sickness or something. But then their reason was not even to replace their child. They wanted that other parents experience the same sort of sadness and grief. And I kind of like it's scary, because I watched so far two movies in the same theme, and it just makes me to, I mean, I understand it's really hard to lose a child, but also makes me to think, okay, maybe I should be a little more cautious around them, because just different people cope differently. I mean, some just goes crazy, and I understand it's not easy, but I think I don't understand if you want to harm other child or other people just because you experienced a hard time and very deep grief. So yeah, that was. I mean, I don't follow the news, so I don't know if it's actual thing, but just a lot of movies actually coming from reality, so that could be something. I don't know. Yeah, and then yeah, just it's society is crazy. I mean, a lot of things that are actually happening that are even a lot more scarier than what it I mean what the movies are. So no one knows. Maybe they're actually really bad. But yeah, I don't know. Like, do you guys like any horror movies? What's your best horror movie? Like, what's your favorite one? One of my other top horror movies, let me think about it, was, I mean, it depends on the time. I think like when I was very little, maybe Insidious was scary, very scary to me, but if I watch it now, I don't consider it really scary. But that also had the idea of like wandering ghosts, and it was, yeah, I don't know. I don't think I really, that was definitely not my favorite. But also, in terms of being scary, probably. Mm, oh, I was watching an old movie recently. Let me ask, what was its name? What was the name of that movie that we watched recently? The old one, G Jeepers Creepers. Yeah. So that one, I watched. Though that was also, I wouldn't say I consider that at the end. Definitely was not scary. Like when I saw the creature, like uh close shot, it was not scary at all. But the whole idea about like the movie was really good. I really liked how they uh like the scenes itself was really good, even if like the story I wouldn't say it was really good or mysterious at all. But it the whole movie from the start especially could definitely deliver the fear to the audience. Yeah. And then yeah, definitely there are some scary moments that I think scary movies are just fun, especially when you watch it. The whole feeling is so cool. But then if you're alone in the dark, oh my gosh, I would freak out. Yeah, I my I was in my top or the scariest situation is just dark outside, like when it's midnight outside in the middle of the wood. Because I can imagine all sort of scary creatures and ghosts and zombies around me, and it will scare me to death. And yeah, it's just, yeah, because your imagination a lot of times is a lot more powerful than the actual thing. Like, probably if a zombie in reality chases me, mm, like the the adrenaline kicks in, I would just not be scared and be in survival mode and maybe even fighting back. But when I just sitting in the dark and imagining it, it would kill me. Okay. I hope that you enjoy sharing this horror movie, and I I would be, yeah, I would share the same kind of story, horror stories, or even any other kind of experience. And I hope to see you next time as well. Bye. Oh, this avatar all of a sudden said that you only have 5